Alex Jones is now claiming that he's broke. Oh, interesting. Now, according to new reports, Infowars, or the company behind Infowars, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. In its court filing, Infowars said that it had an estimated asset of $50,000 or less, and estimated liabilities of $1 to $10 million. Wow. Now, creditors listed in the bankruptcy filing include relatives of some of the 20 children and 6 educators killed in the 2020 school massacre in Connecticut. That's the Sandy Hook that he has lied about, and that he had actually made a lot of money lying about. All right, so now, before we get into why this is absolute bullshit, it's important to note that the bankruptcy filing on Sunday in Texas puts civil litigation on hold while the business reorganizes its finances. Oh, and reorganizing it will. Oh, yes. So, but let's get this straight here. So Alex Jones is somehow claiming that his show is bankrupt after making millions of dollars off lying about Sandy Hook, and now they need some time to reorganize their finances. Sure. Oh, of course, I believe that. Right. Yeah.
Give me a break.
Sure. I'm with Jeb there. About the only time I'm ever with Jeb. So, now, again, why this is bullshit. Infowars actually made a ton of money. There's a report where, and it was detailed by HuffPost, where the company raked in about $165 million in 3 years based on the Sandy Hook hoax. And so he sold a bunch of bullshit as a result of advertising related to those segments. In fact, he was selling things like prepper gear, water filters, food buckets. I couldn't imagine. I mean, let me just stop for a second here. So, what is it with right-wingers in selling shitty food buckets? There's the Tim Pool food bucket. There's obviously the precursor to all of them, as far as I know, the Jim Baker food buckets. And now the Alex Jones slop buckets. And that's what it is. It's all slop. It's all disgusting slop that's supposed to get you through the apocalypse. Okay, sure. And it probably tastes like an apocalypse in your mouth. But they also sold things like Brain Force Ultra and Brain Force Plus. Supplements that have not been shown to have any sort of efficacy and have not been approved by the FDA. It doesn't matter. They don't care about that. These are the same people that whine about, oh, what's in the vaccine? What's in the vaccine? And they're taking Brain Force Ultra. And they don't know what's in it. But you know what? Facts. They don't matter. They don't matter when you're in a war for info, right? I would say that they're in a war on info. And sadly, they're winning. All right. But look, he made tons of money, obviously. So where did it go? Well, look, there are expenses. It takes money to run a show, obviously. I know that personally. To pay staff, which I don't know, because I don't have any staff. But, you know, to do security for events, things like that. So that does cost money. Yes, operating expenses. But that's not where the bulk of that money goes. In fact, the Daily Beast explains that Jones has allegedly transferred significant amounts out of Free Speech Systems, that is, of course, the company that owns Infowars, the parent company, if you will, and taken that money and put it into a series of shell corporations. Now, he started doing that. The interesting timing here is right after the families of Sandy Hook sued him back in 2018. Oh, look at that. I'm taking all this money out of my company and putting it to something else. Not shady at all. Oh, no. In fact, Jones withdrew a total of $18 million from the Free Speech Systems bank account over 3 years, along with drawing an annual $600,000 salary. Oh, could you imagine? $600,000 a year. Holy crap. Now, according to another lawsuit by the families, many of these suspicious transfers center on a mysterious company called PQPR. which the plaintiffs claim is controlled by Jones and his family members. Shortly after Jones lost his last appeal to block the defamation case in Texas, PQPR claimed that Free Speech Systems owed it $54 million, almost all of Infowars' assets. Oh, interesting. And very, very convenient. Weird. Now, following the claim, Free Speech Systems began transferring its money to PQPR, then onto a series of shell corporations, allegedly controlled by other Jones family members, according to the motion. While the payments were ostensibly made to pay off a hefty $54 million in arrears, a debt PQPR hadn't bothered to enforce in the 7 years during which Infowars allegedly racked up these tens of millions of dollars in debt, the plaintiffs say this is just a scheme to shelter Infowars assets in a quote-unquote alphabet soup of shell entities. Their transfers designed to siphon off Jones' assets to make them judgment-proof. The debt payments accelerated after a Texas judge ruled before a trial that Jones lost his case, an unusual step because of the Jones's repeated violations of other legal rules. Since that ruling, the plaintiffs say Free Speech Systems has paid PQPR between $11,000 a day and $11,000 each week, along with as much as 80% of Infowars' sales revenue. In their motion, the lawyers for Sandy Hook families described the payments as quote-unquote jaw-dropping. Isn't that amazing? Now, there's either a couple of things going on here. That Jones is so much of an incompetent dumbass, can't run a business without going into massive amounts of debt, that his show constantly loses money and owes much bigger companies money for doing who knows what. Nobody knows. Or the much better explanation that he's funneling his money to shell corporations to protect them from seizure because he knows he done did the defamation. And by the way, the bankruptcy proceedings, filing Chapter 11, will allow him to have time to shield more and more of his assets. He is doing every single trick in the book to protect his money. And that is money that he made off the suffering and misery of families. Families who were stalked, harassed, who had to move 6 times because people would come after him, his insane fans. I mean, this is just gross, and it's even more insidious, by the way. Because now he's probably going to say things like, oh, the New World Order, they forced us into bankruptcy. Only you and your donations can save Infowars from the globalists who want to take us down. All you have to do is just find some Brain Force Ultra. You got to buy more, and then you got to donate more. Here's our PayPal link. We got PayPal. We got Venmo. We got GoFundMe. We got our website. I mean, you know that's what it is. You know, and the sad thing, of course, is that it's probably going to work. The guy's going to get a flood of donations from insane people and just add that to the hidden fat stacks instead of being held accountable for his gross, destructive lies. He's going to come out of this richer. And that's how it works. When you are wealthy, you're not held accountable for your actions. What do you expect from probably one of the most scummiest grifters the world has ever seen?